TP Jagger here with another video as the 3-Minute Writing Teacher. For today's writing tip, we're going to look at how to write an effective ending to a story. So let's begin looking at the end. Let's look at 3 do's for how to write an effective ending. Do. Plant seeds early in a story for things to come in the end. It could be something a character says, or something a character does, or some object that appears, even if only briefly. If a pipe wrench is a key element in the story's climax, I can plant it in an earlier scene to foreshadow what's to come in the climactic resolution. Do make sure the ending is logical. An ending has to make sense with everything that's come before. That's not saying an ending has to be expected. I'd much rather read a book and have the ending surprise me. But even when readers get surprised at the end of the story, they should be able to reflect back on everything that's come before and see how all the pieces fit together, even if they don't recognize it at the time. Think of a story like a jigsaw puzzle that's being pieced together without having the picture on the box. Readers won't know what the final picture is until they put it all together in the end, but the writer still has to provide all of the pieces throughout the story, even if the readers won't recognize how important a given piece might be when it's first introduced. And finally, do avoid the obvious. If your readers will have your story's ending figured out way before they get there, it's probably not a very effective ending. So, as you write, force yourself beyond the obvious. If you come up with an ending that even leaves you surprised, you're probably going to surprise your readers too. Now let's consider 2 don'ts for writing endings. Don't introduce totally new information you didn't set up earlier in the story. This connects to making a story's ending logical. I read a novel once that had me guessing and anticipating the ending the entire way. As events unfolded, I kept wondering, how's that possible? I was looking forward to seeing how the author was going to put it all together. I was ready to be amazed. Then I got to the end of the story. The author provided some supernatural explanation for all the seemingly unexplainable earlier events. This would have been fine if there had been some groundwork that had been laid for a supernatural explanation. But no, there was no such groundwork that existed. The ending wasn't logical. It didn't fit with everything that came before. It felt like the author had written himself into a corner and got to the end of the story like, oh no, what am I going to do? Okay, supernatural. Boom, got out. That was the last book I ever read by that author. Don't have an ending scene that's disconnected from the story's climax. In fact, what happens at the true end of your story should be because of the story's climax. Think of any Disney movie you've ever seen. For example, at the end of The Lion King, Simba becomes king and his new cub is introduced to the other animals. However, the ending is only possible because Uncle Scar is defeated in the story's climax. The events in the climax should determine what happens as you wrap up the story's true ending. Regardless of how you choose to end your story, keep in mind the do's and don'ts for an effective ending. Thanks for joining me, and I guess for now this is the end.